In the second video, I'm going to try and help you build your portfolio in your web pages. Now, to begin, I want to show you what it's going to look like, and I can take a Rhina's web portfolio from last semester to show you. And right now, this is actually a page that's made up of 3 separate pages, and you'll notice that it's got a graphic here that's been sliced up, and you notice the bottom of the O has been chopped, and the bottom O is like this. Okay. And also you'll notice that no matter how I change the size of the web page, that this background graphic grows and extends. And the same thing here, the background graphic here grows and extends. And this is actually made up of 3 separate pages. So you can tell here, if I scroll here like this, okay, this doesn't move and this doesn't move. If I scroll this one here like this one moves, but this and this don't move. So it gives you an idea that it is made up of 3 separate pages. And the pages that you're going to be looking at are a banner page up here, a menu page here, and this one I'm just calling a splash page. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to be taking, making those 3 files using the graphics you created in Photoshop. So if you load up Dreamweaver, and you start up a page, a blank page like this, and then you go into your code, and we're just going to name this one banner. Let's get there, and just call this banner. And in the body, we are going to put in a background. Oh, hold on. Before you do that though, save the file. And you want to save it in the same location that you've saved everything else. So in this case, it's going to be in Documents, St. Roch, Web. And we're going to call this one banner.htm. Now that you've done that, when you go look for the background file, put in a space there, and I browse, it'll go to where my banner background is, which is right there. You can take a look, and that's that piece there. So if I choose that, and if I go look at that in design mode, I get this. Okay, now to add in the background image, I'm going to drag this over like this and put it in just like that. And there you go. And now your banner's done. And don't worry about this extra space here. When we actually do the frames, that'll get rid of that space. Okay, let's create another file. Great. And again, we'll go in and we're going to call this one menu. And again, we're going to save it in the same location, and this one will be menu.htm. And then we're going to put in the menu background. So space, go down to background, enter, and then menu background. Click choose. We can take a look at that. And then all we have to do now is grab the menu image. Slide that in there. And there you go. Okay, so we click save. And then the last thing we're going to do is create another file. If you're wondering where this bar comes from if you don't have it, if you right click and make sure standard is checked off, you'll have this bar. So click the new button and do an HTML page, create. And here you can just put any graphic or anything you want. In this case, I'm just going to put splash page, just so that we know it's there. I'll enlarge the font, well, I'll bold it in this case, and I think what I'll do is I'll hit enter, and then I'm just going to center it using, save it first, and call it splash.htm. Save, and then when I go in the code, I'm going to just center it. Line, center, and save. Okay, so I have my 3 pages. Now, to put these 3 together, I'm going to go into Smoltron. And it's really important to use Smoltron for this page because if you try and do a Frameset page in Dreamweaver, the possibility of error is very, very high. Now, this page is really important to put in an appropriate title because when you do a Frameset page, this is the only title that it actually picks up on, not the other pages that create this. So this will be web portfolio. And that's, if they bookmark it, that's what they're going to see. Now, and this is going to be the only page that you ever create after I save this. Documents, St. Rock, Web, and then we're just going to call this one, I'm going to call it index, because that's typically the main file at the root of a web server. Okay, notice I did the HTML, so the tags turned blue. And this is going to be the only page that you create that doesn't have body tags. In fact, if you put body tags in, it'll screw up the entire page. Okay, and now all we're going to do now is we're going to create a frame set. And I'm going to put an opening frame set and a closing frame set. And what these are is it allows me to show two different pages at the same time. So I'm going to do rows to start, equals, and then in quotes I am going to put 50%, comma, 50%. Save that. And then what that's basically saying, by putting two values here, I'm saying I want two different pages showing. So I put the two different pages in frames. And this is the last tag, so frame. This is the last tag you're going to see that is a self-closing tag. Okay, and so obviously I need an attribute, src equals, and in quotes, the page name I want to show. So in this case, banner.htm. Okay, and to make this easy, I'm going to copy and paste that. And the second file I'm going to put in is menu.htm. Save that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up so you can take a look. So go File, Open File, and we'll go into Rock, Web, Index, Open. And you see I've got this page up here and this page down here, and it looks a little strange, to be honest. Now, if I wanted to change this, say I'm going to put the splash page in. It'll probably make it easier to look at. So instead of the menu, I'm going to put splash. Save, because that'll be all white. And let's just refresh this. And you see I get a page up here and a page down here. Now, you also have the option, instead of splitting it horizontally, to split it vertically. And the way you do that is, instead of having rows, you could put calls for columns. If I refresh that, it goes like that. Okay, now, but what I'd like to do though is, if we look back here, let's go back here, and I go back to Rhina's page. What I want actually is, I want a banner that goes across like this. Okay, so that would obviously be a row. But then in the second row, I want a column here, as you can see a column here, and another column here. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit strange. You can get a better idea what I'm saying here if I look like this. So you see I've got a row here, and I've got a column here, and a column here. So how do I go about doing that? I could obviously know how to create two rows, and I know how to create two columns, but how do I combine the two together? Let me show you. Okay, so I've got two columns. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here. And really what I want is two rows here. So there's two rows, banner and splash. And in this one, what I really want in the two columns is I want the menu and the splash. Now this one, I don't need the splash in the second row. What I need is I need this whole thing in the second row. So that's exactly what I do. I get rid of the splash because this is where I want that other set. And literally, I move all of this to where the splash was, right here. So, and I'm just going to indent it so it makes it look more appropriate. Okay, so if you look at this carefully now, I have a frame set rows, and in the first row I'm going to have a banner. In the second row, I'm going to have another whole frame set, which breaks that row into two columns. Now I'm just going to adjust these sizes because they're going to be too big this way. So I'm going to make this, let's make this 100, and that's a fixed size. And then if I want it to be the rest, you actually put an asterisk. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Make this 120, and these are just random sizes that I'm picking right now, and we'll get the exact sizes in a little bit. So I'm going to save that now, and now let's go take a look at that. If I refresh it now, it's on the way. You can see that it's forming up. Now, to get it to the right sizes, the appropriate sizes, I actually have to go look at this graphic. So I have to go back to Photoshop. So if I go into Photoshop, and then I look at the appropriate graphic, this one in particular, and I go to image, image size, this is going to give me the height that I need. So in this case, the height is 113 pixels. Okay? So the height is indicating the height of the row. So when I go back to Smoltron, I want this to be 113. Okay, now the same thing goes for the width, and the width I want to be the same as this one. And I'm just going to shrink that down a bit and drag that out so you can see what that is for this piece. I want the width to be this width. So let's take a look and see what that is. The image width here is 129. Okay, so if I go back to Smoltron and make this 129 and save, go back, refresh. Now these are the right sizes. Now you're looking at this saying, well, we've got a space here and a space here, and this all has to do with the frames themselves. So all we need to do is add some attributes. So in the frame set, I'm going to put frame border equals 0. And in here, I'm going to put margin height equals 0 and margin width equals 0. Okay, and each of these, copy that, put it into the other frame set, and these two I copy and paste into each of these frame tags. A little too much space there. Okay, and just save. Now watch. I refresh, and all of a sudden everything fits together. Okay. Eventually your menu that you've created is going to go down below here, and you'll have the start of your web portfolio. Hopefully this has been clear, clear as mud. And I'll just flip back to this so you can see this. And if you pause the video here, you can take a look at the tagging.